I found a spot for the Battle of Chaos poster. The only thing it cost me was my Eternity Code poster spot. Yeah, sometimes you got to make sacrifices, and this sacrifice took everything. What's going on with y'all, big dog? And it is an amazing day for Yu-Gi-Oh! I hope that your day is going phenomenal, but if it isn't, don't let what happened at the beginning of your day ruin the rest of your day. Yesterday, I did a video on the top 5 meta budget decks for the July 2022 format, and I bet you're probably wondering, yo, what about all budget decks? They matter, right? They actually do. Today's video, I'm going to be doing a budget tier list, solidifying not only yesterday's video, so if you guys want more information on particular decks, go ahead and check that out. You'll also be able to see how all budget decks go across the board. Let's go ahead and jump on in, as I have 5 different categories here and just a little bit of a change from our previous budget tier list. We're actually going to be including all competitive budget decks inside of this tier list. So if you guys think that I missed a particular budget deck that was extremely competitive, let me know down below in the comment section. And we're actually going to be using those decks in this tier list on what is the most competitive from what is the, oh no, what are you doing, baby? Top budget is obviously just that, guys. These are the most competitive budget decks that are going to get you your bang for your buck. After that, it's the next budget deck. These decks are still really, really good. And of course, they own that budget. Will take time can actually mean 2 things. Maybe the deck is on the higher end of your budget and you're gonna need to take some time to be able to make this deck really good, or maybe it is a deck that isn't so competitive right now and will take time for it to be really good. A lot of effort on the budget decks that may be cheap but not necessarily great. And then of course, Arby's tier. If you eat in there, well, I mean, I guess you like the meats. Starting off with Dino, guys. Now, every single tier list that we put Dino, I gotta put it at top budget, and I gotta give you a reason why. But if we're going to objectively look at this, I'm gonna put it as the next budget. Dino actually is in a really good format. Dino thrives inside of a format where there are combo-based decks. And of course, between Sword Soul and Punk Therion and Therion this and Punk that, there are so many combo decks that immediately lose to Ultimate Conductor TYRANNO because it doesn't activate an effect, as it can just attack into those monsters. Also, UCT allows you to flip your opponent's monsters from face up to face down defense position, which can prevent synchro summoning and link summoning, as well as exceed summoning inside of the format. The problem with Dino is that Miscellaneous Ceres is at 1, and I'm starting to think that maybe I'm just a not so bad player and I can cover up the weaknesses from Dino because I've been playing it for so long. That card single-handedly does make Dinos a lot harder to play, seeing that you only have 1 opportunity to be able to protect all of your monsters from your opponent's blink and negations, and you need to finish games fairly quick or have a board that your opponent can't break. I will keep on saying this though, anytime where there's tokens inside of the format, like Sword Soul being able to special summon tokens, or the Adventure Token Engine, Token Collector makes this deck a lot more consistent, as not only can you interrupt your opponent's tokens on your side of the field, you can also trigger the effect of Lost World to get your Dino deck started. Now, Invoked. This deck has actually been in a very tough spot because of the Despia strategy, but allow me to put it in the Will Take Time and give you guys some hope for optimism. The reason why this is in the Will Take Time isn't because of its expense. It's 100% of how the format is shaped. There are so many strategies that are just preparing for Despia, using cards like Anti-Spell Fragrance, which completely hurts the Invoke strategy, and then there's Dimensional Barrier, which turns off what Invoke wants to do most. But the biggest important thing about this is that players are starting to play Despia a little less, meaning that players are starting to side against Despia a little less. That can actually open up the floodgates for an invoked player to come back into the game, because against those combo strategies, El Shaddai Winda is a complete terror against the meta. Being able to stop your opponent from being able to special summon multiple times after they activate that emergency teleport, because you know they want to get into that Punk engine, and being able to control the game by banishing cards through Mechaba is a very solid deck. It's just going to take time. People are going to have to forget about Despia in order for this strategy to be a lot more competitive. Altergeist. actually topped the German nationals, and it really didn't do anything spectacular. It was just showing Altergeist what Altergeist does. Now granted, the build did play Mystic Mind, and I want to throw another field spell into the hat because players are moving back to being so spell reliant. I think that the Secret Village of Spellcasters is actually cracked inside of this deck, completely preventing your opponent from playing spell cards. And when you don't have a spellcaster monster on the field, well, you're Altergeist. You don't play that many spell cards in the first place. But regardless, being able to summon Altergeist Multi-Faker to your side of the field and then spell summon another Altergeist, typically Silquitos, after following up with an Infinite Impermanence is just perfecto. It really does help that some of the best hand traps in the game can not only be played in Altergeist, this is one of the better trap decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! That can play really well into this format. Cyber Dragon, guys, is going to take a lot of effort. This is damn near, oh no, what are you doing, baby? Predaplant Bird Anaconda is banned, guys, so that really hurts Cyber Dragons in his chances for going first. How it used to be able to make a Destiny Hero Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer alongside of a Cyber Dragon Infinity. That was a pretty good duo, especially when you have the ability to draw 2 cards and get a free special summon on the crackback. And then there was Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. The card was a menace for the Cyber Dragon deck, but now how exactly are you going to be able to combat things? The good thing about Cyber Dragon is that anytime your opponent is in the extra monster zone, which players just don't seem to respect, all of your Cyber Dragon cards become easily a way to break your opponent's board. The best way I would say to play Cyber Dragon right now would be maybe a trap-based stun version, but then there probably are better decks that could do that route, which means that this deck is a lot of effort. Ignister is easily a top budget deck, guys. This deck has been topping like crazy left and right. It is a strategy that can require a little bit of money, as you will need an access code talker, but the Ignister strategy in total is extremely cheap. I can't think of a single expensive Ignister card. This deck is also really good at being able to play Mystic Mind if you wanted to, or being able to play a plethora of hand traps to be able to stop your opponent. I really do think that the Add Ignister strategy is dangerous, especially when you can summon Ignister Arrival Carnival to your side of the field. I don't know why I keep calling it that, but the Arrival monster is amazing. Being unaffected by card effects is almost an auto win against your opponent if you make it higher than 4,000 attack. DDD, guys, DDD. DDD, I think players have figured it out. This is a deck that not only will take a lot of time, it's just a lot of effort. Look, let's face it, DDD players are probably some of the smartest Yu-Gi-Oh players I know. They got the biggest brain. They literally inherited all of the good pendulum genes. Like, seriously. This is a deck that needs you to be able to link summon when you need to link summon. You need to be able to fusion summon and exceed summon. You need to be able to synchro summon. You need to be able to do every mechanic at the appropriate time, play everything right, and still can lose to some of the most ignorant cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! With that being said, I do think that DDD is a great deck. It's an amazing deck and still is fairly cheap. You just need somebody that has big brain in it at all times. It's like playing on veteran. Like, it's extremely hard to be able to master. Oh, Code Talkers, guys. I had so much hope for this deck, but I'm gonna put it in the, oh no, what are you doing, baby? Our first Arby's tier strategy. Allow me to explain. What I didn't realize about Code Talkers is that almost any Cybers deck can make Decode Talker Heat Soul, which means that this deck's whole gimmick is literally thrown off. Its gimmick is to be able to throw hand traps at your opponent and make Decode Talker Heat Soul. Well, this deck throws hand traps at, literally every Cybers deck throws hand traps at your opponent and makes Decode Talker Heat Soul. So take out the control option. The other option is to extra link your opponent, which is still fairly good, but you don't need to do all that to win the game. You're literally playing on hard mode because you're locking your opponent out of links. That doesn't do anything in this format. You could give him the Nightmare Corrupt Ably, but that's not always the combo line, which means that this deck isn't as powerful as you would really want it to be. I genuinely would suggest against building and playing this deck. It's fairly cheap though if you want to go that route. Dinomorphia. People are not paying attention to this deck. Oh my god, guys. Oh my god. Have you read Dinomorphia Rexterm? Oh my god, like ridiculous. Dinomorphia is fairly cheap. It's literally Dino's cousin right now, as being able to abuse cards like Fossil Dick and Miscellaneous Ceres to be able to protect your dinos, and then still be able to go into Exceed monsters like EVOLZAR Logia or EVOLZAR DOLKKA is amazing for this strategy. Dinomorphia is a deck that is built on being able to finish games extremely fast, because one thing you don't want to hear is, Yu-Gi-Oh players, you're in dime, when you're sitting on 69 life points. You're not going to win that. Zombie World, guys, man, I really want Zombie World to be good, but in a format where players don't care about Zombie World itself, it's going to be will take time. Now, this deck will steal some games off of decks like Fluundereese, because they obviously need their attribute to be their attribute. Punktherion doesn't care. Despia doesn't really care. Swordsoul, I mean, kind of, but not really. That puts Zombie World in a very interesting spot. I think in the near future that Zombie World will be amazing. Once we start getting back to those tribal archetypal decks, this strategy will be good. But until then, it's a pretty decent deck that will take time. Drytron. Surprisingly, Drytron is budget. What kept the Drytron strategy from being an incredibly good and budget deck was Diviner of Herald. One thing I do want to point out, guys, Diviner of Herald is getting a reprint very, very soon. So can't wait to do the budget tier list when the Megatins come out and we get Diviner of Herald. But before that, Drytron now only needs one copy of Diviner of Herald. Yo! Everything else from this deck is literally pennies on the dollar. Like, this deck is so easy to be able to summon your win condition, which is being able to summon Vanity's Ruler to your side of the field. That card's extremely cheap. Has an ultra rare printing, I believe, from Dual Power, or being able to summon a More Factor Pain to your side of the field. Another card that's not ridiculously expensive. This deck is built on Link summoning, and those Link monsters can transfer over to other strategies. This is easily a top budget deck. Same thing with Eldlich. King Kali would literally be loving it. The most expensive card for an Eldlich player is Skill Drain, but you don't need Skill Drain, okay? You can play a branded engine just like what King Kali did say. That allows you to send Eldlich to Golden Lord to the graveyard, making your strategy ultra consistent. Also, it helps that all of the Eldlich cards were printed in maximum gold, and the best Eldlich to Golden Lord is literally in maximum gold. I really want that alternate art in a different rarity. It is really cool. But yeah, the Eldlich strategy is for players that love to eat glue. Those trap-based floodgates, being able to use Rivalry of the Warlords, goes in match, being able to main board anti-spell fragrance. You are genuinely the glue eater by playing this deck, but I ain't gonna doubt you. It's a dope deck. It's really fun. I love the art. Shadows. Yo. Shadows are June's Shadow deck, which you guys will see very, very shortly, was dope as hell. It cost him $1,000 though. Granted, he was playing like the Despia engine, the Adventure Token. He was playing so many crazy engines, but I'm telling you, when this deck gets going, it goes. But allow me to explain why it's a lot of effort. This deck needing the Despia engine already makes it a little bit over, right? Also, there's Guardian Chimera. That card's extremely expensive. And on top of that, it still suffers the same problems as the Invoked engine. So not only is this a little bit more expensive, it's a strategy that still has the same problem. So I would stay away from Shadows if I were you, if I were on a budget. Live Twin are next budget, guys. The reason why I say next budget instead of top budget, because I do think that is an extremely good budget deck, is that this strategy, I have a strong feeling, will go up in price and maybe price itself out of the budget tier list. Currently already, it is a fairly on the expensive budget side. The Evil Twin Link monster, the pink one, which I think is a Leela, is about $17, and you'll probably want 3 copies of that card. Other than that, the Live Twin engine is pretty cheap, being able to play all of the hand traps that you want to disrupt your opponent, and then you can even mix it with other strategies like Eldlich or Unchained to make the strategy really, really fun and good to play. Fluundereese is easily a top budget deck, guys. The only expensive card for Fluundereese is Pot of Prosperity, but you don't necessarily need to play Pot of Prosperity in your deck. You can get away with Pot of Extravagances and Pot of Dualities. The other expensive card is going to be Harpy's Featherstorm, but that card is a literal blowout against most of the meta. When Diviner of Herald does come out, Libromancer will be a top budget deck. This deck is actually ridiculously good, guys. It can artifact Scythe Lock you, but the cool thing about it is that it can protect itself. It can protect the artifact Scythe Lock with using cards like the Libromancer trap card. I cannot remember its name. Libromancer is an amazing ritual engine, which is really, really cool to see. I'm excited to see how this deck does take on to other forms, as it is a deck that can ritual summon, it can link summon, it can synchro summon. It can kind of do what Drytron does, but a little extra spicy. It's spicy ritual. Earth Machine, guys, will take time. I believe 3 Earth Machine players did top the Nationals, which is really good. And I don't think that Earth Machines has seen the success that we would like to see it, but it's still a fairly good deck. The reason why I would say would take time is because Therion King Regulus is not cheap. Now, granted, you can get away with not playing any Therion King Regulus. You can get away with playing 1 copy. But eventually, the best variants of Earth Machine do play multiple copies of Therion King Regulus. On top of that, this deck is an upwards heal battle. I do think that the non-floodgate version and the ability to be able to play going first and going second, the original build that I played a long time ago using cards like Forbidden Chalice to be able to stop your opponent while you're playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Probably one of the better variants. Marine says, guys, oh my god. Marine says starting to get expensive. I told you guys this was the top budget and you guys needed to pick up this deck way before it was too late. And then players like, this deck's actually really, really good. 1-card combos everywhere. Marine says is actually an amazing deck that you guys should really start peeping out and picking up before it does skyrocket. There are some cards that have not been reprinted that will go up in Marine says. Solomon Great is also another one of great budget decks. I don't think that it's better than the Code Talkers, or not Code Talkers. I don't think it's better than Ignister, and I genuinely don't think it's better than Marine Sus, but the deck is still stupid, ridiculously good. And has probably the best trap cards out of all of these. Marine Sus is probably in a Coast Sucket with its infinite impermanence, but being able to negate and destroy, also being able to reset your trap cards, or being able to destroy massive amount of cards is what gives Solomon Great an edge over the Marine Set strategy when it comes to great trap cards. Still a great deck. Sharks, baby! I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry, Shark players. Totally Awesome's expensive right now. That's the first thing. The Totally Awesome is just ridiculously expensive. Even more importantly, you can literally, what are you trying to make it here? You're trying to make Totally Awesome? Well, you can make it in Marine Says. You're trying to make the KRAGEN? Well, you can make it in Marine Says. Like, it feels so bad to say, but yo, I can't think of much what Sharks can do that Marine Says can't right now. Moving forward though, actually you do not need the adventure token engine for plants to do good. I actually seen a couple of builds not play the adventure token engine and actually use their plant cards with a little more variety. There's a monster named Cactus Bouncer that prevents players from special summoning that just so happens to be a searchable plant for the plant strategy. There's also NATURIA ROSEWHIP, another searchable plant card for this deck is toxic, guys. Imagine being able to not be able to special summon for the rest of the game, and also being able to activate only 1 spell card or trap card for the rest of the game, only to have it negated by a Therion King Regulus. Like, this is ridiculous. The deck only needs 1 Therion King Regulus, so that's good. I think that this deck is really good. If I had to say in the Will Take Time, it's in the better portions of the Will Take Time, because this is a strategy that's been showing up inside of the meta here and there, but hasn't solidified its spot, and is a slightly on the more expensive side, because you do need a card like Regulus, because you do need some of those hard to find plant cards. Phantom Knight, oh my god, good deck. Really, 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 really good deck. Extremely, this deck plays forever. I think eventually you'll probably side to get the adventure token engine, though you don't need it for Phantom Knights to be good inside of Yu-Gi-Oh! Ultimately, this deck can play forever. Phantom Knight's Breaksword is still one of my favorite X-Seed monsters, being able to destroy cards and then summon Phantom Knight cards back to allow you to extend further. This deck's busted, guys. Let's just face it, this deck's really, really good. It can also make some of the most terrifying rank 5 monsters in the game. Arc Rebellion and the other one. I can't remember the other one. I can't remember. Both of them are Arc Rebellions, I think. One of them makes its attack ridiculously high, and then the other one is like negation. So it's like, this deck is still really, really good. Just because there's no Phoenix Enforcer doesn't mean that this deck can't shine. Tri Brigade is a top budget deck. Not only will you guys see it tomorrow, I actually built a fully pimped out Tri Brigade deck. If you guys want to go ahead and see that video, just to show you that Tri Brigade is still fairly competitive inside of the format. But the best way to play Tri-Brigade, in my opinion, is the pure route. You can fusion summon into monsters like Mirror Jade going pure, or you can make really scary boards involving Herald of Arclight, so your opponent can't use any of those clutch spell cards like Forbidden Droplet against you. Virtual World is another top budget deck, guys. What are we doing here? This deck is ridiculous. Being able to summon QB Shinshin to ruin the opponent's boards, but also Virtual World CHUCHER allows you to destroy cards. That third Pot of Desires is looking real good. Can't wait to the Forbidden list to bring it out to 3. And then that's where this deck will really be able to shine, because its consistency is back, baby. The Lyrilusk version of Virtual World, maybe it's just me being biased. No, it's not really. I think it takes time. I do think that it's cheap. But if you want to go full out with this strategy, now that I think about it, you're going to need Utopic Draco Future. Triple Tactics Talent is actually really good in this particular one, because it like goes further and punishes those Tri-Brigade decks. And because like I don't know, it's still top budget, but it's a little expensive on the top budget. You know what I mean? Like there's some expensive cards for the Tri-Brigade strategy that even I didn't mention. You need a Zeus for this deck. Like you need it. Like it's ridiculously good in here because of how you built the deck. So I definitely think it is a will take time. And then lastly, Unchained. People are sleeping on this deck. You play a lot of great going second cards, guys. Just play like Raigeki in here. It does the job. Playing Dark Ruler no more. It does the job. Evenly matched. It does all of the jobs that you want to see. Unchained is amazing at going second and then just building its board. And be like, yo, what we doing from now? Unchained Soul of Rage and Unchained Anguish allow you to link summon using your opponent's cards. So you're never at a disadvantage, especially when you're kaijuing over some of their most important cards. And that is all that I have for the budget tier list. I really hope you enjoyed this particular video. Of course, if you want to see more amazing content, you can go ahead and check out these videos. And if you think that I misplaced a particular strategy on the budget tier list, or maybe you want to see your particular deck in this tier list, let me know down below in the comment section. I hope you are having an amazing day, as I'll catch you on the next video.